So in this video today, I'm going to be covering off my review, my 10,000 kilometre review of my Honda NX500. Over the last 4 months or so, after buying the bike brand new here in Chiang Mai, Thailand, I've covered those kilometres all over Chiang Mai city itself, into the mountains where I am today, but I've also gone on a couple of longer trips from the north of Thailand to the very south of Thailand, which I did a whole series of videos on, which you're more than welcome to go and visit in the link below. So I think at this stage I've got a very good handle on how to handle the bike, its performance, and I'd like to give you a bit of a review today. So the main topics that I'll be covering are the features of the bike, costs, handling, the ergonomics of the bike, and while not a serious off-road bike, I do want to cover my experiences of off-road performance versus on-road performance. Rather than me boring you with all the factory specifications of this bike, I'll leave a link down in the description of this video, but I will cover off some of the things that I'd like to point out, specifically again from my point of view, my experience. And while not a very experienced biker, I feel I've got enough experience now to be able to give a good review of this bike. As I said, I did buy this bike in Chiang Mai, Thailand, for 258,000 baht. Now I'll do the conversions and put them up on the screen for you. That 258,000 baht included obviously the bike itself, but some of the factory fitted extras that you can purchase as part of one of the packages of the bike. I'll also cover off a couple of things that I've added to the bike myself and how I've set it up for touring. I am about to embark on a number of mammoth, epic rides with my mate Dave. I'll also leave Dave's YouTube channel in the description below, Sabai Sabai in Thai. So it's the first time that I'm actually going on a road trip with somebody else. Previous rides I've been by myself, so I'm really looking forward to spending some time with Dave and travelling all over this country of Thailand. Hopefully you can join us on this ride. The plan at the moment is we're going to travel to Nong Khai, northern Isan of Thailand. We will then come back to Chiang Mai for a while. We're going down to Kanchanaburi. And for those of you Aussies and Kiwis, I plan to visit the War Memorial Hellfire Pass in Kanchanaburi, which is more commonly known as a death railway. Looking forward to that one. Also, we'll then travel on to Bangkok, Greater Bangkok area where Dave lives, and then we have plans to go back and visit Krabi. Now I say go back because in one of my previous big trips I did visit there, but I really only passed through. It's a beautiful part of the country and I'm looking forward to spending a bit more time there and investigating what the sights and sounds are of that particular area. Really looking forward to that, and I want you to come along with us because I think it's going to be fantastic. Okay, back to the bike. As I said, 258,000 Thai baht. I'll leave the conversions on the screen for you. But basically you get the bike as it is set up now, and I'll just run through a couple of things that come with that package on the bike. Okay, so I'll start off with a bit of a walk around the bike and just highlight some of the features that make this a fantastic bike in my opinion. So one of the first things I do want to point out are the dual disc brake on the front. Now I do recall when I bought the bike, they did warn me to be aware of the braking capacity of the front brakes, and I can tell you they work very well. Fitted with ABS, they are very good for slowing down, obviously for stopping, and with the ABS you have minimal risk of locking it up, losing control, but certainly not using them hard as you corner around some of these mountain bends. as part of the additional touring package, you have the headlight protector, and you can see there with the stacked headlight, I think that's a very good design for the bike. So these lights are very effective even with the protector on there. There are minimal disruptions to that light spread. You have the LED indicators, which also are hazard lights. I did buy the crash bars as part of the package, which, as I'll elaborate soon, are very effective, very worthwhile. Down the bottom here, we do have the bash plate or the sump cover. Again, I have made use of that when I did go off-road, and I can tell you that will save you some heartache with damaging your exhaust and the sump. The oil filter just sitting inside there as well. So it makes good sense to incorporate that into the package, certainly if you're planning on going off-road or long distance touring. Also included were the boxes. So we've got the one large top box on the top there. We also have the side boxes. I don't know what the capacity is, but I'll put that up on the screen or in the link. And I can tell you that after doing 6,800 kilometres on my north to south trip, that was more than adequate space for me to, by myself, to store my clothes, my camera equipment, computer, laptop, and everything else that I needed to use. I do have the ability to strap down and store stuff on top of these boxes if needed. And because I'm single, travelling by myself, the pillion part of the seat could also be used for additional storage if you needed it. But I do intend on getting a girlfriend at some stage, so I'll leave those options open for me. Also included in the package were the knuckle guards, which you will appreciate in the colder weather. Even with gloves on, it does cut down the iciness chill of the winds as and when they occur. It does have the sturdy aluminium frame. This one is actually a little loose because I did actually drop it and have yet to tighten it up. But again, I did say that the crash bars do come in useful. So along with the knuckle guard and the crash bars, it did eliminate any other damage to the bike as well. As I said, I have set this bike up for touring, and a couple of the items that I did add on which I have found invaluable are the driving lights. So you can see here I've added two pairs, a pair at the top, a pair at the bottom. They are on yellow at the moment. They can be on white and they can flash white as well. And I can tell you they do light up the roadway in front of you. So very worthwhile if you plan on riding at night, or as I do, up here in this lovely landscape of Chiang Mai Mountains. Another couple of items that I did add to the bike, and if you can see down here on the dash, I've included a dual USB charging point. So two USB-A plugs, which I could have, in hindsight, included USB-C, but with the cables USB-A to USB-C, that hasn't been an issue. I've also added my phone holder, mobile phone holder. I am planning on moving that up to the bar that Honda have included in the bike up here, just to give me a little bit of wind protection, and certainly when it starts drizzling with rain, then it will protect the phone to some degree. I've also fitted here, which is obviously an optional extra, just for my action camera mount, which is very versatile, as I can mount it here, I can mount it on the bar, on the dash. I also have locations on the crash bars and also on the storage boxes. That gives me the opportunity to get some very good angles of the bike. Another great feature of the NX500 is the TFT 5-inch display screen. So it gives you all the information you need. And one thing I just want to focus on here is the fuel economy. So as you may be able to see there, the average consumption is 26.5 kilometres per litre. Now I'll put those conversions on the screen for you for those of you in the States or elsewhere that might be using the old money. And the good thing about this screen is that it can be backlit, it can be white lit, and it also automatically adjusts for the light that's available for you. You can see as you scroll through the toggle switch here, which I find a little bit small, but certainly with gloves on, it's certainly functionable. And you'll just scroll through that left and right, up and down, to display the relevant screen or function settings that you're after. So if I just click to the left, we go back to the normal screen here. Click toggle to the right, and that's where I got those settings there. You obviously have a trip A, trip B, and total odometer reading for the bike. You can set your units, miles or kilometres, and I won't run through all these functions here, but you can see that there's enough functionality in the bike to be able to customise how you would like your screen to be set up. So I'll just click left to get out of all that. One of the other features of the bike that I found that was very useful, only a little bit too late, but you have the ability to turn on and off your traction control for the bike. So it is just a switch up, and you can see there it shows you on the screen that you can turn it off and on as you wish, including while you are riding along. You do not, however, have the ability to turn off the ABS, which I am not too concerned about, but there are obviously going to be situations where turning off the ABS may well be of some sort of advantage, certainly if you're in an off-road situation. So the fuel capacity for the tank, 17.5 litres, which I think converts to about 3.8 gallons. Range is around about the 400 kilometres, again depending on how you're riding. If you're just riding in normal traffic through the city, your consumption will obviously be a lot less and you'll get a further range. As I have found, which is where you get the 26.5 kilometres per litre, that is an average from me riding through the cities, through city traffic, through the mountains, which I do a lot of, and also open highway riding through Thailand. So obviously the more you give that throttle a little bit of a squirt, the more that you're going to use. But from what I understand, 26.5 kilometres per litre is a very good statistic. I'm happy with that. So all good. Now I did mention one of the positives of this bike is the actual weight. At 196 kilograms at the curb, plus you then do add the weight of the boxes, whatever you might store in them, whether you have a pillion or not. But just myself, at I'd say over 100 kilos, it still is a very easy to handle bike. Certainly as a beginner or an intermediate adventure bike rider, it is a smaller bike, so it is a little bit more agile, certainly in close quarters traffic. The seating position is very comfortable. My feet are flat on the floor. At 5'10", 176 centimetres thereabout, it is a very comfortable ride. The handlebars are at a very comfortable position. The ride height is not too high, and the seat is very comfortable. The only negative I might point out about this though is the riding position of your legs. Now again, I am not a very tall person, but you may be able to see by the angle of my leg, it is actually greater than 90 degrees. So shorter rides, not a problem. The longer rides, it does get a little bit uncomfortable. If they're a little bit lower and perhaps a little bit more forward, that would make things a lot more comfortable. I do have bad knees anyway, so I may well investigate some additional foot pegs for those longer touring rides. You certainly don't want your feet up there in traffic and that sort of thing. They are the shorter rides anyway. For the touring, would be good to have your feet in a more comfortable position. Something I'll investigate and perhaps I'll, review at a later date. So cruising speeds. Now, being a 500cc, you're not going to have all this magical power to be delivered on demand, but I can tell you, with the power available and the torque available on this bike, it does give you more than enough, certainly for one person loaded up, to climb the steepest of mountains, get your cruising speed up on the highways. Even with a pillion, then there is more than enough power. You may need to drop it back a gear going through the mountains or dropping a gear to overtake, but there's more than enough power available there to do that for you. Again, travelling on the highways, look, comfortable cruising speeds would be 120 to 130 kilometres an hour. I have been told that sitting on 140 and 150 is not going to be an issue either. So for the mileage people, that is, just under the 100, around about the 100 miles an hour mark, more than able to cope with those speeds. Obviously legally, where you are allowed to, in Thailand, maximum road speed limits are 120 kilometres an hour. So this bike, not a problem, even fully loaded up. With a pillion, wouldn't be an issue. One other comment I'd like to make is just on the windscreen here, the windshield. Now, it does sit reasonably high. As I said, I'm around about 5'10". When I'm sitting on the bike and cruising along the highway, the air that runs over the top of the screen just catches the top of my helmet. At the higher speeds, the buffeting does create a little bit of a problem. But if you just sit a little bit lower, normally you can get around that. I may invest in a taller screen at a later date, but for me, not necessarily a big problem. There is no adjustment in this, especially when you have the headlight cover over the top of it as well. So it may well be something that I'll investigate at a later date. Okay, slight change of location. The rain gods decided to throw a thunderstorm over the top of me up on the top of Doi Suthep. So I've come down the mountain and I'm located somewhere in the Chiang Mai University, which is basically at the bottom of Doi Suthep. I've now been disrupted by the chainsaw gods. I've got chainsaws over that way and chainsaws intermittently over that way, so hopefully you can hear me over the top of that, which seems to be okay for now. So I want to wrap things up here now. If there are any questions you have about anything I've said today, the bike itself, touring around Thailand, then please leave them in the comments, ask those questions, and I look forward to bringing you some of the sights and sounds of my journeys with Dave. As I said, it is going to be a big trip. Thank you very much. Thank you for watching to the end of this video. Please don't forget to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe if you haven't already. It is free and you're likely to get those notifications as and when I bring those videos to you. So I'll wrap things up today by saying Khop Khun Kap. Thank you in Thai, and I'll see you very soon. Bye.